Hello everyone and anyone unfortunate enough to have stumbled onto this video. I am Friliqui, and if you ever wanted to play Minecraft, well, go play it. But if you ever wanted to play a Minecraft themed RTS, well, look no further. Minecraft Legends is what you seek. Unfortunately, you should be prepared for a very rudimentary RTS experience that, for the most part, simply has you running around destroying piglin bases and gathering resources. Early on, there is a discovery element to it with powerful golems and towers scattered throughout the world for you to discover and collect and subsequently use in battle, but it doesn't take very long to collect them all. Oh, there are also creepers, skeletons, and villagers available to recruit as allies after, of course, you rescue them from the vile, disgusting, atrocious, simply no good piglins. I am not the biggest or even a big Minecraft fan, but something about having creepers and skeletons, I will let the villagers pass, work as an ally to the player, seems off. This leads me to the core units available to the player, the different kinds of golems. Above all, they are frustrating to move around, particularly when you have to assault a piglin base that, for whatever reason, is built on top of elevated rock formations. They fall off the edge, you'll forget to gather them after you send them to attack, or they'll simply get stuck somewhere. Admittedly, you can recall them all after you build the necessary spawn structure, but it's still frustrating as you try to position yourself so as to be able to build that spawn structure. In other words, moving from spawn point to spawn point is frustrating, particularly if you have to move through elevated environments with limited ways up, mostly because your units are vertically challenged. Furthermore, engaging in combat against piglins is a bit of a mystery. What I mean is, it's hard to tell how effective your units are in combat other than to eyeball it. This is because the piglins don't have life meters or health bars, and neither do your troops. So you're just left gauging, I guess guesstimating how well you're doing in one engagement after another. This is particularly annoying when facing down heavy piglin units that clearly have a lot of health, but you really can't tell how much damage your troops are doing to it because it doesn't have a health bar or any way to gauge how much damage it has already taken. Boss units are given a health bar, so the developers clearly understand the utility of the health bar, but I imagine they must have decided that health bars for all the heavies was simply too much. Why? Because, well, you see, oh, I got it. They wanted to do something different. Maybe. Probably. Anyway, onto the story. So, from what I was able to gather, there are three interdimensional beings called logic, foresight, and action, or something like that. And they kind of just sit around doing whatever interdimensional beings do. However, one fateful day, the piglins decide to attack the overworld. Why? Because they're piglins, and they hate you, and me, and most of all the overworld. So, fueled by their hatred, they begin their genocidal conquest of the overworld. The three interdimensional beings call upon someone who happens to be mining at the time, just doing his own thing, mining, to defend the overworld from the genocidal, surprisingly industrious piglins. The person they call upon agrees to assist because, well, there wouldn't be a game if they didn't, but also because he has promised all the bacon he can eat. Maybe. Maybe not. I'm not entirely sure if that was worked out. I imagine it was worked out in my head when I thought about it. All right. Anyway, as you destroy the main piglin bases, the boss piglins make their way out to the overworld to carry out their uh, agenda. Campaign? Genocide. They each go about doing something different. One of them goes on a rampage throughout the overworld, and you have to go defend one village after the other as you try to take him down. There's the other dude, the defensive piglin, boss piglin, who comes to the overworld so that he can defend harder. As in, he knows you're going to attack, and his main strategy is he's going to defend so hard that you're going to lose. Again, assaulting his base. And then I imagine at some point he's going to go on the offense. He's going to go on an offensive. I'm not sure how that works out, but yeah, he defends hard. Anyway, so that's pretty much the loop. Take out bases until the boss comes out. Then take out the boss. When you take out all the boss piglins, you'll be confronted by a final big boss. Defeat him, and congratulations, you won the game. Defeating the big boss is there's a bit of a story spoiler in there, so I won't say much about it. But it is an interest. It's not an interest. It was probably one of the most engaging parts of the game, at least in terms of how you had to approach him. But in the end, it was also not all that difficult to take him down. All right, so it doesn't take very long, or at least to complete. It doesn't take very long to complete the main campaign, which is fine with me because by the time I took out the second boss, the loop was starting to get pretty tiresome. I suppose there is some variety to be found in the multiplayer, but to be honest, I don't plan on investing much more time on this game beyond the campaign. So that just about does it. There really isn't much to this game. It's a simple RTS that has a Minecraft theme. The troop movement is wonky and the combat is underwhelming. I was surprised that troop upgrades were pretty much non-existent and that combat really does boil down to effectively managing and moving your big golems. Attacking and defending without them is just a headache. Resource gathering becomes irrelevant because if you successfully defend the village, the villagers leave a whole bunch of resources for you to use as you see fit, which is great, but really diminishes the need to engage in resource gathering, at least deliberately, and if you don't mess around too much with your resources or just needlessly spend them. The open world is interesting to explore, but that doesn't last very long. On a more positive note, it does look like Minecraft, so they got that part right. Not sure how you would mess that up, but still, people do drown in knee-high waters, so critical failures in even the most unlikely of places is possible. Fortunately, that's not the case here, but I wouldn't leave the game alone in the kiddie pool, as you might find it face down before too long. Anyway, overall, the game is a strong meh. Numerically, it's a 2.5 out of 5. The game is technically sound, even in light of the wonky troop movements. There is nothing that I can legitimately say is a game breaker. However, the problem with the game isn't the technicals, it's the lack of vision. Ironically enough, for a game that banks on its Minecraft branding, it's simply too limited in what can actually be done in it. You can base build, but it's not something that really requires much of anything other than setting up a few towers and walls. I suppose you can use other supportive structures to enhance your defenses, but beyond towers and walls, the other defensive structures are of questionable value. Furthermore, even at the highest difficulty, you can pretty much get away with using the same strategy to attack every piglin base. If you want to experiment, well, there really isn't much to experiment with. You can pretty much get away with simply concentrating your forces on an opening and making a straight line to the teleporter that once destroyed destroys the rest of the piglin base, because apparently the piglins hardwired the teleport portal to the rest of their base. So if you destroy the teleport portal, the rest of the base goes along with it, because that just makes sense. I'm pretty sure it's just a game mechanic, but if putting it in a story context using your imagination makes it that much more hilarious. Well, I rambled on long enough. If you made it this far into the video, I can only imagine you are thoroughly inebriated to the point where your basic motor functions now fail you. That is unfortunate and well beyond my ability to do anything about. So good luck with that, and till next time.